what we're trying to do is to keep them spaced out during practice, and to try to, like, for example, for me, I'm close to a player for just 2 minutes, any player, during the practice. So if something would happen and I test positive, I'm not near the players the whole practice. So we're trying to show that everybody, the county and the state, that we are not all we're not all going to be positive. If one of us happens to be, and we actually have chips, we invested in some technology that actually times exactly how much I'm within 6 feet of a player. It has a little warning sign that goes off, and so we've got every minute that I'm next to a player or the coach, and we have the same thing on the other coaches, and they're about 4 to 5 minutes next to any one player for the whole practice. In our managers, we separate completely, so they're not near a player at all. And for our players, we don't play as much man-to-man. We don't let them drill drills together so that they're not together. So they're only together 7 or 8 minutes, 10 minutes maximum during the practice. And even when they go home, they have to go to their room and use their bathroom and not be in a common area. So we're trying to minimize as much as we can the contact that our players have. It hurts us a little bit. You don't have as much unity because you're not coming together as much, but we have no meetings, no film sessions. The coaches have no meetings. And whenever the coaches are on the court, they wear their masks. And actually, our coaches wear the mask all the time. Even in the office, our coaches are wearing a mask. So the only time we're not wearing a mask is if, like, I'm in my office like this. So we're taking all kinds of precautions. We've been together for 4 months. It's almost a bubble-like. Knock on wood, we've had great success. Our players have been very good on a campus and in a town where there's a lot of people testing positive. They're just, trying to stay in a bubble as much as we can so that we can play. And, hopefully that's what will happen. We've been together for 16 weeks, and there's been a lot of practicing. And, they're ready to play. They love to play a game, but, we just got to get to that point, and hopefully we'll be able to do that.
So it's just another year, right?
Yeah, it's completely different. I've noticed a couple of times in practice, recently more so, that it's more difficult. Really, I just don't think we have quite as much oomph in practice because you're spaced out so much. You have to imagine, if you're looking at our practice, you don't see a player next to each other. Even waiting to get on the court, they're 10 feet away. We have spots where they have to stand. So they're 10 feet away from each other. And then when they do their warm-ups with the strength and conditioning coach for 10 minutes, they have to be 10 feet away from each other. So you don't have as much of that unity. I think I saw Aaron Rodgers even say that today, the quarterback for the Packers, that they weren't coming together. They didn't have as much of that feeling. So it's just part of what you do. We don't even let them go in the locker room together. They go in the locker room separate, 4 at a time, 5 at a time. That's it. And just what we're trying to do to be precautionary and to, show that we're being very careful of how much contact we have with each other. And, of course, when they go out, they have to be very, very careful of where they're going, who they're with, and all. I mean, we're probably not even going to have a Thanksgiving Day dinner as a team together. We probably will be separate. We'll probably give them food to take and eat in their own room. We're just trying to be as careful as we can.
Thanks,
Donna Dakota.
Hey, Jim. Hey, everybody. Along those same lines, Jim, how much of this was guidance from the ACC? I know they're coming out sometime soon with their winter sports guidelines. And in terms of testing, how much are you testing now, and how much do you anticipate you might test going forward?
Well, we're testing once a week. We will be testing 3 times a week when the season starts. So we will be doing that every other day, 3 times a week. And the teams we play will test 3 times a week. The one troubling guidance is where the CDC came out early, very early, with no knowledge of anything, and said, well, if one member of your group tests positive, the whole team has to quarantine. Well, that was without ever checking to see what we're doing, how we're practicing. That's just somebody sitting in an office someplace saying, well, they're all together, you know, like meetings, and they're all together in the locker room, they're all together on the court. Well, we're not. We're not doing that. We're not all together. We are spaced out. But the CDC didn't know that when they made that guideline. And remember, it was a guideline. It wasn't a rule. But people are enforcing it kind of like it's a rule. And I don't think that was the intention of it, but it's what we have. And we're trying, like Josh Pastor is not scrimmaging at all. So, you know, we're doing little scrimmaging. And when we do, when we play zone, we're not matched up with a guy, so we don't have as much contact with one particular player. So our minutes are 8 to 10 minutes for our players for the whole practice, being next to another player. So we're trying to minimize that contact, and we're doing that. But the other guidelines, I mean, it's the 3 times a week is going to be a guideline, and everything else is, you know, based on just what you try to do normally to stay out of situations where you're going to be around too many people.
Have you had any contact with the Onondaga County Health Department in terms of trying to test out of a 14-day quarantine, or what that rule might be?
You can't test out, but what I'm trying to, we were supposed to meet with them today, but obviously there's so many things going on in the county. And another thing that bothers me is, well, there's so much going on in the county, that means you shouldn't play. Well, we're not. We're testing and doing everything separate. We're not out there in the county. That's somebody else's, their problem. We're trying to take care of our people and keep them healthy. But we have talked to the county. We are sending them what we're doing. We have computer chips on each player and each coach that measured how many minutes exactly you're next to somebody during practice. And we have all that. We have all that information. So hopefully we'll be able to share that with them. We are going to share that with them. And I think they will come up here in person. They were supposed to come today. They will come, I'm sure, as soon as they can. But we're doing everything we can. Locker rooms are spaced out, cleaned up, cleaned every day. All that. The court's cleaned. We're trying to do everything we can to have the season. And, you know, hopefully we can do that.
Can I remind everybody one question, please? Mark Larson, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how are you? I don't know if you care or not, but for TV, it would look a lot better if you can slide a little to your left to set her up.
I don't care.
I know. I didn't think
you had that right.
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. I want you to look as good as possible. So you've been talking about a lot of the specifics with this. How do you feel about it? You mentioned something's bothering you. What's this like going through it? It's obviously like nothing you've gone through before.
Well, the one thing I've learned in my life, Mark, is you don't sit still and you don't give up and you don't quit. And I'm against that 100%. And I see that out there today. I don't think you give up. I think you try to work through it. You establish protocols. You try to keep yourself healthy, your players healthy, but you don't sit home. If that's the answer, I think we're in trouble as a country. I think we have to find a way to work through this, taking all the precautions we can, wearing our mask, washing our hands, keeping social distance. But we can't give up. I mean, I'm thrilled to hear that this vaccine looks good at this time. All the doctors I've talked to prior to this thought we'd be a couple of years away from having an effective vaccine. I hope that's wrong. I hope we do have one. But we have to operate like we aren't going to have one. You know, we're just going to give up and everybody stay home. I'm concerned about kids and their mental health. Part of going to school is to be around your friends and learning, obviously. Number one, I don't think kids are learning at home at all, and especially in the city where kids have no internet or no computers, no ability to do their work. I just think we're hurting this whole group of kids, and we need to figure out how to do this. I'll be thrilled if this vaccine comes out and works and we can get everybody vaccinated. Everybody will vaccinate. 50% of the people in the country say they won't take the vaccine. So that, I don't see how that helps us. But we certainly have got to try to fit. My attitude is this is this is another issue you've got to work through, whether it's, we all go through them. We all have issues that you have to work through. This obviously it concerns everybody, and it's the most difficult thing we've had to deal with in our country in my lifetime by quite a lot. But I still think we have to find a way through this, to work through it, to do whatever we can. If it's played, we've got 27 game schedules. Hopefully we can play them. If it's 22 or 20 or 15, whatever it is, let's play the games. I think our players, we're doing everything we can to keep them healthy. And young people, if they do test positive, they usually are fine. But we have to work through. My short answer is I'm just trying to get through the day, just like we do every year, and in a difficult time.
Thank you, Gutierrez.
Hey, Jim. How's it going? Wanted to ask you a basketball question. Just curious how Frank has looked, and if he's competitive and able to help out at the center spot early on as a freshman.
Well, right now it's too early to judge on what freshmen can do. For the most part, especially big guys, it takes time. I think overall everybody has worked hard. I mean, I've seen improvement from everybody, from all of our players. Obviously, the veterans are further along, but we've had a lot of practices. We've had a lot of time to familiarize our players, more practices than we usually have because of the additional hours that we got early. So we've really had a lot of time in the gym. And I think everybody knows exactly what they should be doing, but it's still not game experience. And that's just the way it is. You don't know how young players are going to react. You hope they'll react well, and some react better than others. And but you don't know from watching practice exactly what's going to happen. I know I've got a really good idea what our veterans are going to do because we've seen them do it, and they've improved. They've all improved across the board. I see improvement from all of our players. Since we've started practice, I see improvement from the younger players. I think Kadri Richmond has shown in practice that he's more than capable of helping us. Obviously, Alan Griffin has proven he can play in college already, and has fit in well with what we're doing. Quincy is pretty healthy. I don't think he's quite 100% from all the time off and everything, but I think he's getting better, getting there. But I see Marek and Marama is much improved, much stronger than they were last year. And I think Joe and Buddy are much more physical, much more prepared for this year. But, Frank and Jesse have worked hard. I think they've shown some things that they can do. But, you really have to wait till game situations really probably into the league before you really have a good understanding of what they can do, how much they can do.
Mario Sacco.
Coach, how difficult was it to schedule these games that, if it be a Buffalo or a Bryan or the teams that we don't know playing it when you don't even know what's going on or when you can play? And how difficult was that over these last month and a half?
It was easy to schedule. We scheduled them in a couple of days. Now can we play them? It wasn't hard to get the schedule done. It was hard, it could be difficult to play the games. That'll be the interesting part, that we can get the games in, that we can get the league games in. Obviously the pandemic is at a stage right now that is outside of our area here is not good. And but I think too, you have to be careful in generalizing this thing. Something may not be good in North Syracuse, but it might be okay in DeWitt. I mean, they're different areas. Different areas have different outbreaks, and with this disease, you need to really be focused and specific on what you're doing, where you're doing it. And that seemed the biggest adjustment with what's going on right now. And obviously, it's something you have to be careful with and deal with every day. But we have a schedule, and hopefully, we're going to be able to play the schedule.
Josh St. Croix.
Coach, just wanted to ask you a little bit more about Alan Griffin. Obviously, given the limitations in practice, but just wondering what you've seen from him so far, and some ways that you think he might be able to help you out this year.
Well, the biggest thing is he's a proven player. He put numbers, really good positive numbers up. When you look at his numbers, his rebounding and shooting percentages, his numbers are really good. They're outstanding. I think he's a very, probably the most high motor player that I've seen in a while. His motor is a little bit, I have to go back to Boeheim Musakeda, who had a motor. He was in every play. If you remember he was in every play. Wherever the play was, he was in it. And I haven't seen that many perimeter players that have that kind of motor. He's on every play. He'll go after a rebound from 20 feet away and go get it above the rim. And a loose ball, he'll go get it from 25 feet away. He's a huge motor guy. He's after stuff. And then he's still a skill player. I mean, he shoots the ball well and, makes plays. So he's a highly skilled player who's working on his ball handling penetration. That's what he's working on. But he's a really, I usually don't use the words, the high motor guy. I mean, but he's that guy. He's in a lot of stuff. He gets involved in a lot of different things.
Mike Waters.
Jim, with the current spike with COVID, especially down in the New York City area where a lot of programs are on pause right now, does the window that's going to be created between Thanksgiving and late January with students leaving campuses still give you hope that the season can get underway and you won't lose too many games?
I have absolute hope that we're not going to lose any games. But, we'll have to adjust to it when it happens. The spike in New York City doesn't concern me. I'm not in New York City. I'm concerned about what we're doing here and what's happening. Obviously, there's more cases now on campus. There's more cases in Onondaga County. And, we live here. So obviously that's all a concern. But we're trying to educate our players as much as possible to stay in their area. And I think they're doing that. They've been good at it. That doesn't mean that something can't happen. But there can be relatively calm in some areas. And then it can be some right over here. There's a breakout. That's the difficulty of this particular virus. And there's just no way of knowing where it's going to strike. And we have to take every precaution we can. But whether our players are here, if we had players here that were in New York City, they'd be more likely to get COVID than they are here because we're protecting them. There's fewer outbreaks on our team, obviously, than anywhere else in this area or any other area. That doesn't mean that we can't have something happen with our team. But by making the environment as safe as we possibly can, which is what we've done, by limiting their contact with other people by spacing them out, limiting their contact with each other, which is what we're doing with me. I usually meet with players and talk to players at practice every day. I'm usually right close to them every day, Mike. You know that. I don't do that. I'm 10 feet away from them when I'm talking to them. If I'm coaching them, I'm 10 feet at least away from them with a mask. All the coaches are wearing masks. And we're telling them what to do from at least 10, 12 feet away. And we're wearing a chip that prevents us from getting, because when we get within 6 feet of a player or a coach with the chip goes off, starts beeping. So we know that we are close. So we're tracking all that and trying to keep safe. But yeah, I mean, we can be fine, and the team we're playing next week or 2 weeks can have a positive and we can't play them. You know, I mean, that's possible. It's, for a while, football was going all right, but now they've had some more cases. You know, our volleyball team's been playing, our soccer teams have been playing. You know, obviously, just watching the Masters here on TV, they're playing. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be, you're going to have to go day to day and try to figure it out. It's not gonna be easy.
Nico?
Sorry, I just had a problem unmuting there. Coach, great to see you. Thanks for the time today. And you mentioned a minute ago, you know, the mental health of the guys. From that standpoint, how big was it for everybody to get together as early as you were this year, to be able to focus on basketball and have this goal of, you know, hopefully playing this season?
Well, there's no question that that's helped everybody. I think we've gotten to the point now where we've been together so long that it's starting to wear the other way. It was great in the beginning, the first few weeks. Everybody was so happy to be here and practices. You know, we were going 100 miles an hour at practice. It's definitely gone the other way. You'd like it to be building the other way, but it's not. I mean, because of everything, a lot of different reasons, it's just kind of going down. This will come back the week we get ready to play a game. They'll start getting excited about that, and they'll be fine. But it's a very difficult time. We try to talk to the players each little bit each day at practice from distance, so you don't really get up close. Even if I bring someone in my office, I put them 10 feet away from me just to talk to them. I mean, obviously it's just different, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard for kids, and it's like nothing we've ever seen before. I mean, anybody that this is their senior year of college, they're having one of the worst seniors of college anybody ever had in college. I mean, it's just what it is. But it's there's nothing you can do about this to make it better. You know, you have to adapt and do the best you can, but it's not going to make it great. I mean, there's no way you're going to make it great. You know, you're in a college, you get to go out and see people, you get out, have a hard practice, but you can still go out, meet with people, and do things. You can't do that. So it's obviously it's difficult for everybody. You know, I mean, I still like to go out to dinner. We're careful, but you know, I went out to 2 restaurants we normally go to, and they were both closed on their own last night. They decided to just not be open because of what was going on. We did find one open, and there were people there. You know, there was a lot of people there, and but spaced out. And you know, that's. I heard not an interesting story, but kind of a sad story. A good friend of mine, his daughter is older. And she did not go out for 7 months. She wouldn't let her father come over if he'd been out of town, nothing. She went out to dinner one night. 2 days later, she had COVID. I mean, fortunately, she didn't really get sick, you know, but it's just, that's what can happen. You can be careful, but this thing can find you, and there's not much you can. I mean, it's just, you just try to do everything you can. But it's a difficult time, really difficult time for the players. I'm just praying that they can get to playing games and that will help.
Thank you, Coach.
Anthony DeBundo.
Hey, Jim, thanks for taking the time. You mentioned that you thought Kadri could provide for you guys and really, be a spark as a freshman. What are you seeing from him specifically, and where do you think he fits in the rotation?
Well, he's going to play. That's all I know for sure. And playing time kind of works itself out. You can have an idea how much somebody will play, but if they get out there and play really well, they're going to play more. If they don't play as well, they're probably going to play less. The players decide who plays. I don't. The guys that play and play well, in practice and get a chance in games and then show what they can do in games, they're going to play. He's good with the ball. He's a really good penetrator. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes for a freshman. He's a better jump shooter, I think, than people thought. He's a good finisher in the lane. He makes good decisions. He's good defensively. He's good. He's a good player. And, he's going to play. I mean, even if he doesn't play great, he's going to play. He's the first guy in the backcourt off the bench, and he's going to play. Joe can move over and play the 2, and Buddy comes out, or if he comes in for Joe, then we go with that. Alan Griffin can play a little bit in the backcourt, more of a forward. But we've got the opportunity to play 8 or 9 guys. Robert Braswell's played well. We're still working out the center position as to who. Boeheim is clearly the dominant player at that position right now in practice, which you'd expect. He's stronger. He's healthy. Coming off a really good last 10 games. We're not looking back and saying, well, he had a bad year. We're looking back and saying he finished the year. He played really well against good teams down the stretch in the ACC, average double-doubles. So, but Kadri is a very talented player. I think he is underrated because people thought he was a small forward. He could be actually pretty good as a small forward, but he's not that good. But he's really good as a point guard. And he's a point guard. I don't know. I only saw him play once in high school, and that was up in the summer, and he was playing forward. I don't think he even had the ball more than once the whole game I saw him play. So how do you evaluate a guy on that? But he's a point guard, 100%.
Seth Goldberg.
Jim, looking around the NBA, the NHL pulled off bubble ideas. Is that something that was approached within the conference, and is it something that you would have been in favor of?
Well, we couldn't do what the NBA did. There was no way to ever do that. That would not be possible. We've bubbled as much as we can. And when we travel, we're going on a charter. We're going right to a hotel, staying there, right to the game, playing the game, and then chartering back. I mean, we're doing everything we can. I mean, even these small bubbles like where they're having in Connecticut, there's different hotels in use. There's different travel in there and out. I mean, you can't do what the NBA did in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it was unbelievably successful, but there's no way. But baseball traveled, and they had a little outbreak in the beginning, but then they played, and all those teams were traveling, staying in hotels, flying, all that, and they pulled it off. So I'm confident we can pull it off, but it's not going to be easy. But I think it can be done.
Gil Gross.
Hi, Coach. Considering Marek and Brahma have both gained 20-plus pounds, what does that do for them individually in their games, and how does it change things that you can do as a team?
Well, it helps them. There's no question to be a little stronger. I'm not sure if it's an overwhelmingly difference, but it definitely is different. They look stronger when they're playing. Marek is sneaky. I mean, he plays pretty strong. I mean, even though he was 170 pounds, you didn't see him get overpowered a lot. I mean, Zion knocked him down, but Zion would knock down a tractor. I mean, they're definitely stronger, and I think it's helped them. Their experience, Brahma being healthy, completely for a whole year and plus now. I think that's all helped us. The time they've had to work, and Marek's had to work on his shooting, he's getting better. It's much better. So I see them, they're much better players. And I think at the end of last year, they were better players, but I think they're significantly better now. Joe's gained 15 pounds. People don't talk about it, but he's much stronger. And he played pretty strong last year, but he's much stronger. And Buddy's gained some weight. I think he's stronger. So there's no question that that's helped, particularly those two guys. Definitely helped.
Danny Emmerman. Danny, we can't hear you for some reason. We'll come back to you. Mike Waters.
Jim, when you were putting together your non-conference portion of the schedule, did strength of schedule have to take a back seat in order to schedule teams that were within New York State or closer to home because of COVID?
Well, we did. We knew we were going to play Georgetown. It's an out-of-conference game. We knew we were going to go to the Big Ten game, which would be a good game. So, we had 5 games. We knew Buffalo was going to be good. They've been good. The other games we try to get close. We won Colgate and Cornell. We could not, obviously for obvious reasons, we could not get them. We tried to get people close. I was worried about going away to wherever else. I'm worried about going to Rutgers, which is a fairly easy one. But I would really have not wanted to go far away to play a game. We're still worried about all these local teams that we're playing, that we can play those games. But, with the league, I think we're playing at Duke, at North Carolina, at Virginia, at Wake Forest, and at North Carolina State off the top of my head. And 3 of those teams are in the top 10 probably. So I don't think strength of schedule is going to be a real issue with us. We have good strength of schedule. Rutgers is picked to be in the top 20, 25 by some people. I think our schedule is fine. But I think the league schedule is really hard. But, that's all right. We're looking forward to it.
Okay, Danny Emmerman. Now we still can't hear you for some reason. Sorry about that. Matt Gutierrez.
Hey, Jim, was just curious. I think we heard you were watching or listening to the Masters. Was curious who you're looking out for and who might.
Always looking at Tiger. See what he's doing. I just lost him, so I don't know how he finished. He was close. He was close at the end there, but I don't know where he ended up finishing.
Mark Larson.
Coach, real quick off topic a little. I'm talking to your friend Dave Bang at 4 o'clock today, and I wanted to give you a chance to do a preemptive strike about what he was like as a roommate. Was he clean? Was he a slob?
Yeah, no, he was perfectly clean. My side was completely the opposite, and but he was a great roommate. Very organized and really so much more mature than I was by about 1 million years that it helped me grow up a little bit. Very mature, very good decision maker. And as I've said before, he probably taught me more than anybody else has. And he was only 18 at the time. We were 17, 18 years old at the time. But, he's gone on to probably doing more than most anybody you can mention. Obviously, everybody knows about his playing career, his business career, and being the mayor of Detroit, and now being a mentor to so many young kids that he's helped get to college that had no chance. Dave is interesting, is taking kids in the community, like we all try to work with kids. He's taking the kids that were not slated to be successful, kids that were on the underside, and mentored them and got them to where I think 80-some% of the kids he works with go to college and graduate. from college. So, I mean, he's done everything you could ask anybody to do, and in a first-class way all the time. And I think that's something we certainly sorely need in our country. Somebody who does things and does them in a first-class way and is not doing them just to gain some personal pat on the back from himself. And I think Dave was like that. And, that's who we need to look up to in this country.
Thanks, Jim.
Nico?
I was going to ask a similar question to Matt a minute ago. Who do you, off topic of basketball, but who do you like this weekend at the Masters?
I always liked Tiger, but I didn't think he could win, but he's showing me something here today. I like John Rahm's pretty good going into this. I've always liked Xander Schauffele, but I'm always pulling for Tiger. And I watched most of today. I mean, he's hitting the ball probably as consistently as I've seen him hit it all year. He hasn't had a good year, but he knows how to play that course. And if he can hang in there in it, I wouldn't bet against him down the stretch for sure. And when he's playing, people will be watching.
Love it.
Mario Sacco.
Coach, we understand recruiting's a finicky business. I mean, you signed Benny Williams yesterday, a top 25 recruit for next year's class, but you lose out on Dior. Kind of what happened along those lines?
Well, let me just explain something about recruiting. We didn't commit anybody in that class. We did not commit anybody in the class of 22 at any point in time. That means me committing to somebody. That never happened. What kids do out there is taken as reality in the media, and it's not reality. And we have recruited several players in the class of 22, have been recruiting several. Some we're not recruiting that people think we're recruiting, but that's just part of the recruiting. We can't talk about recruits, so you don't know who we're recruiting really. And, but we've always felt that there were some really good players in 22, and that's when we'll lose a couple wing players, Buddy Allen. We'll definitely need backcourt help. And we're interested in people in the backcourt who are going to want to be here, aren't thinking about the NBA, are not, really more NBA than here. We know guys want to be in the NBA, but as long as they want to come to college and are committed to college, that's what we want. And if it's 1 year, that's fine. But most all the guys we're recruiting all the guys, in fact, who we're recruiting want to go to college, are going to go to college, and probably stay more than 1 year. And that's good. Now, if a player can go, we didn't ever think Tyler Ennis would leave after 1 year. We had a great year, and he went. It was good for him, good for us. Not as good as for us, but it was really good for him. And but we haven't lost anybody that I committed to come to Syracuse. What players do, what kids do, that's their own business. They can announce things or do things, that's fine. But we're interested in some really good players in that class that can come in here and help us. I've made it very clear to them I'm coaching. I'm not coaching until Buddy's done. That never has entered my mind or anybody's mind that I know of. And Buddy might play three years now. Who knows what Buddy might do? But we only recruited really one guy this year. We got a lot of players, and naturally, as we all know, with 12 players, somebody's not going to be happy. Somebody's going to leave. We're going to have transfers, and with the immediate eligibility, I think there's more likelihood that more guys will transfer. Marek and Marama could stay, but I'm not sure that they would want to stay. Marek told me, Coach, I've been playing here 4 years. I didn't think I'd play at all, and I've played for 4 years. So, we'll see what happens. But as everyone knows, it's a very fluid situation. Guys are going to leave if they're not, in a good position to play a lot. And I think it's probably good when that happens, if they really feel they're not going to play as much as they'd like to. But we have a really good core group of younger players, and our projections in 22 are that we will be involved and we will get some really good players in that class, which really is when we need players again. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of misunderstandings and misinformation about recruiting because we can't really talk about it specifically. But you know, we've always wanted guys that are primarily interested in coming to college. When guys are thinking about coming out of high school, they're not good prospects.
Thanks, Coach. I got about 4 years if you need a water boy.
Coach, we appreciate your time. We'll send you off to practice.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I really missed you guys a lot, and we'll probably get together again. We'll look forward to getting together again soon, sometime in February or March.
I think that was a smirk when he said he missed us a lot, if I read correctly over this Zoom call.
Yeah, I might have misspoke there.
On tape, we
Thanks,
got it on
Jim.
tape. Thanks, Jim.
All right, bye, guys.
Thank you.